Welcome to the Whole Doula podcast. Today I'm speaking with Jennifer Tawil. Jennifer, she, her, joins me from Sing Sing territory in Westchester County, New York. Jennifer is 8 months into her postpartum doula business journey. She's almost fully booked and is loving and thriving in her new career, which was inspired by the incredible experience, support and validation she felt from her own doula 21 years ago, when her son was just 6 weeks old. Jennifer's professional background includes 25 years serving as an investigator and 8 years as the district office manager for a NYS Assemblywoman, where she helped local residents resolve a host of issues that affected their daily lives. This role uniquely prepared Jennifer for doula work, as she honed in on her ability to be a patient and empathetic listener. Jennifer refers to her transition to doula work as Jennifer version 3.0, and she's proud to have had the courage to make a career shift in her 50s. Jennifer has developed her compassionate abilities as a mother to 2 children with various special needs for over 20 years. You can learn more about and connect with Jennifer via the links below. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Welcome to the Whole Doula podcast. The Whole Doula podcast is a conversation space for doulas and birth workers to talk about the diverse paths that led them to birth work, as well as the diverse and unique skills, interests and offerings they bring to their birth-keeping roles. Here I dive into conversations with others who may be wondering how to bring the different aspects and experiences of their own lives into their roles as doulas in business. After all, there is more than one way to doula, and I'd love to help others see the connections between all the different parts of themselves, to see themselves as a whole doula. I am your host, Mary Giordano, doula, birth educator, counsellor and doula business mentor, and this is the Whole Doula podcast. I hope you enjoy listening. Good morning, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining me on the Whole Doula podcast today. I'd love to start by hearing how you refer to yourself as a birth worker, if you call yourself a doula or how you do refer to yourself.
I refer to myself as a postpartum doula, and I support mothers and fathers when they come home from the hospital or they've had a home birth, after they've had the baby.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And can you tell us a little bit about your journey to birth work?
Sure. Well, I have to take it way back.
Mm-hmm.
I had my son almost 21 years ago. It's going to be next month, September 21st. And I was living in New York City. I spent most of my postpartum time in the very beginning weeks alone. My husband had to go back to work pretty much very early on. And I was not feeling very confident in my ability to take care of this teeny tiny person. And traditionally, or, historically, my temperament, I'm not an anxious person. I'm a really laid back and just kind of like go with the flow type of person.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this teeny tiny human relying on me, and I just was not feeling good about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember who, but someone said to me, "Oh, you need a doula. You need a doula to come spend some time with you."
Mm.
And so for about a week, a postpartum doula came to my home, and she just at first, sat down on the couch and talked to me and, gave me a break from caring of the baby. And she made me a quiche. And she just took away all of those feelings of self-doubt and anxiety and loneliness and overwhelm. Just, all of those things that women go through in the beginning weeks. And, I never forgot that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had many careers, but fast forward to January 2022. And the woman I was working for at the time announced her retirement. I'm over 50, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And when she announced her retirement, I knew I was not going to continue in that job or in that office because it was a political office. So she was an elected official here.
Mm-hmm.
And, I served at her will. So there was no guarantee that the person who was going to take her place was going to want me to be there. But it was beyond that. I just really sat myself down and thought to myself, what do I want to do? And I first started with, I do not want to sit at a desk anymore. I've spent the last 30 years, let's say, working in that way. And I just did not want to do that anymore. And I really started to think about what was going to be beneficial to even myself, my own health, my own well-being. And I also, in this previous job, I was helping people. It was mostly over the phone, some in person. And I really enjoyed that help. And I got a lot of positive feedback that I was good at it. And, I just came to, well, I want to help women. And then it was almost like a light bulb went on one day. I remembered that doula and I remembered that feeling that she gave me. And it was just like a light bulb went on. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a postpartum doula and I want to bring to women and men, moms and dads, the same feeling that she gave me all the way 21 years ago.
Wow, there's a lot there. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Firstly, I'm curious. So this was 21 years ago that you found yourself on the couch with the tiny human, feeling completely overwhelmed and isolated and alone and unsure of yourself. And someone said you need a postpartum doula. Did you know what that was at the time, or did you know what a doula was at the time? You hadn't heard
No
that?
clue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I ever heard of the word doula at that point.
Do you remember who suggested it to you?
I don't remember who suggested it to me, and it's really bothersome to me that I can't remember the name of the doula because I would more than anything love to reach out to her in some way and let her know her effect on me and what I'm doing right now. But no, I don't remember.
Yeah,
No.
it's wow. Yeah, the impact. You said that she spent a week with you. So was it just a week? Did she come to your home every day for a week and that was it?
I think it was like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. It's hard to remember that part, but
Yeah, but just for 1 week?
yeah, it was just the 1 week. It wasn't a long time at all, which is interesting because I'm with my clients for a minimum of a month.
Yeah, yeah, I've never heard of such a short time working together, but it's quite incredible the impact that she had in such a short time on you. And she made you a quiche, and this stays in your mind. And it's so simple, isn't it? So I'd just love to unpack for a minute how you said that her presence with you really sort of shifted something for you. And it's quite extraordinary that just in a few days she was able to have that effect. Do you know what it was? Are you able to? I'm sure you've given it a lot of thought over the years. Was it the first time that somebody had actually given you the space to express how you were feeling, or was it something that she said to reassure you? You may not remember the details. I'm just trying to sort of grasp the impact that somebody has in such a short time, what they actually did, because often our work is so subtle and often, those of us who are called to this work, and most of us are called to it, we don't feel like we're working a lot of the time. We're just being present with somebody. So sometimes it's quite effortless. Obviously, sometimes it's very effortful also. But yeah, our work is often not that clear to others of what we're doing if we're just sitting and drinking tea and talking to somebody, for example. Do you know what it is that she did that had such an impact on you?
I really believe that I felt like I was all alone. And so just to have somebody there with me and letting me know that it's going to be okay. What I had been doing up until that fact is going to be okay. I also should add, I was struggling with breastfeeding. And that was probably what was causing me the most anxiety and the most feeling of overwhelm and that I'm not doing it right. And when you go down that spiral. And she basically was supporting, me latching and trying to help me with the breastfeeding. I think also my son was having some, I don't know, I guess I would say some oral struggles that I had not known about. And she, suggested I get a lactation consultant and that maybe that would alleviate some of the issues. But she also, I'll never forget this, she also kind of like got down right at my level. Either she was sitting next to me or she kneeled in front of me. And she said to me, if this doesn't work out, it's okay. You don't have to breastfeed. You're not a bad mom if this doesn't work out. And that just really, I can't even tell you what that meant to me. That just kind of like, it was like everything, all the tension and anxiety just like drained all the way from head out of my toes, So I needed to hear that permission. And my son was 6 weeks old at this point, by the way. So I had been in it for quite a while
Mhm.
on my own. Um, yeah, I needed to be given that permission that
Mhm.
it's okay if it's not working. It was just to have that support, have anyone
Mhm.
to talk to and listen to me and tell me that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's so simple, isn't it? And when you said you needed someone, anyone, it just made me think you don't remember the name of this person, and I feel like maybe that's not important anyway, although you'd love to connect with her. This person represents something bigger than herself. She represents what we do as doulas and people who hold space for new mums, who validate their experiences, and through such simple ways of showing up and permission giving, change people's lives. So she's a representation of much more than just herself. So it could have been anyone, and it was her, and perhaps somehow you'll come across her again one day, and perhaps not, and she'll remain this mysterious kind of figure that had such an impact on your life, which is also really beautiful. In a way, there's a certain beauty to that mystery as well, I think. Mm.
Yeah, I do believe the universe works in our favor. And so you never know.
Yeah. So after that, you were in your career still up until 2022, last year, and you did send me through some info about your background. I think you were also an investigator. Yeah.
Yes.
So you worked for a local politician, but also worked as an investigator. Was that part of the political role or something separate to that?
It was separate. No, I would say from the time I graduated college, I was an investigator for about 25 years.
Hmm.
And then I had an 8-year career with working for a New York State Assemblywoman.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. So, can you think of any aspects of your work in those previous roles that inform the way that you show up as a postpartum doula, or the transferable skills? I'm sort of love to see the thread there. That perhaps as is my experience, it didn't make sense to me up until a certain point. The things that I'd done, and it makes sense now. It all comes together, and I'm certainly not at the end of my journey, but yeah, have you seen a thread? Can you see the thread from those previous roles? And that's a long time to spend in a career, both of those actually. So how are they informing your work as a postpartum doula, your unique work?
Yeah. Well, definitely as an investigator, I had developed and was trained on how to interview people, how to get people to be relaxed when they speak to you, to trust you so that they would be more willing to share information with you.
Mhm.
And I have to say that I was always skilled in that sense. I most of the time, got the information that I sought from the person that I was interviewing. And I think with the Assemblywoman, I was directly helping people. So I don't know, people in the US, they, call your legislator when you have a problem. And so that's what we did. Most especially, I have to say, during the pandemic, as you can imagine, so many people were out of work, and the New York State Department of Labor was not ready to take on all the unemployment claims and whatnot. And I really had to hold space for hundreds, if not thousands of people during that time over the phone, trying to I just sometimes sat on the phone and just listened. Some people would cry that they hadn't been paid, they hadn't gotten their money, they can't pay their mortgage. So I really served in a therapeutic role for them for a little bit of time. And then I also worked really hard with the Department of Labor to get them what they needed. And if it wasn't their unemployment, it was some other type of service. So I was really directly supporting people in that way. So it made me feel good to help people in that way. And I was commended very often that I was good at it. So I guess those two things kind of are the little thread that I think makes me
Mhm.
a great
Mm. And unique as well. And, of course, many of us might have the skills of making people comfortable, but you've got a particular skill set there that you honed over many years working as an investigator that enables you to, I imagine, not only make people comfortable, but, read body language in a way that's quite unique and, skills that not all of us have. But also the advocacy work, as you said, for those during the pandemic who were struggling. Yeah, it's interesting to see those threads. So you're a relatively new birth worker in this space, and how are you finding it? How are you enjoying? Are you getting the satisfaction out of this work as you had hoped?
Yes, I have to say I am absolutely loving it. It's definitely interesting because it's the first job where I don't have any kind of real on the job training. You go through your certification process and get other types of, it's kind of like check the boxes of what you need to actually put yourself out there. But it's the first time that I'm not, I guess you want to say, in an office with coworkers, with anybody showing me the ropes. I got my first client through an agency and I showed up that first morning and I just, you have to just, it's like learning on the job on your own as you go.
Mm.
But I've really, really loved it. And I've been my own doula to myself in the sense of I was very smart in getting a lot of support before I started and during, in the sense of there, I learned are people who will help you market your business so that you get clients. There are people who I found will help you really develop who is your client? Who are you looking to serve? I received a lot of coaching in both those areas, and I think it really helps me to put myself out there and feel confident walking into a new household.
Yeah. As you said, the work that we do in isolation most of the time, unless we have somehow some kind of collective where we're maybe working in teams. But for most of us, I think it's in isolation. And as you said, we learn on the job and often don't have mentors to tap on the shoulder and say, I'm just not quite sure what to say now, what to do now. We just figure it out as we go. I'm curious how popular and how common doula agencies are in the US, because that's not something that I've heard of here. There's a couple of collectives that I'm familiar with where perhaps, or there's one in particular that I'm familiar with in the western suburbs of Melbourne, not far from where I live, where the woman who runs it, I imagine she must receive a lot of inquiries, and she has a pool of doulas that she will forward the inquiries on based on sort of interests and compatibility and so forth. Is that the same sort of thing that a doula agency would be and that you're referring to? And also how common are they in where you live?
Yeah, well, I would say here, so there are two agencies that I have worked under, I'm not an employee. I'm an independent contractor for them. So, they retain the client. They deal with all the paperwork and payment and whatnot. And then they just send me out when I let them know that if I have availability or I'm looking for some work. And it is agencies in general are quite common, because there's what they call baby nurse agencies, nanny agencies, newborn care specialists, and doula agencies. I think most often here in the US, people rely on agencies because they feel like, oh, they've already done the background checks. They've already taken a look at this person's credentials. So they feel more confident going through an agency rather than an individual.
The family's choosing. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And it's really interesting because it's very different here. I think here, for the most part, other than perhaps a few collectives around, it's just individuals who work for ourselves and find our clients and the ways we do. And the collective that I talked about is a little bit different because she will make the connection, but we do all of the paperwork and we do everything that we would normally do, but we pay, if you're part of that collective and she refers somebody to you, you pay her 15% of your fees in commission. So that's how that works. Yeah, so it's quite interesting how different it is. I think the doula industry is also more prolific in the US than here, although it's growing rapidly. There's more people in the US to start with, of course, but also doulas have been around for a bit longer, I think, in the mainstream or semi-mainstream. Yeah. It feels mainstream when you're in it, but I know some people still don't know what a doula is. So I'm also interested, you said that you were able to access some coaching for understanding, for example, ideal client and marketing and helping yourself get clients. So these coaching opportunities or relationships that you found, how did you come across those?
Well, what happened was I had a business before. I had my own investigation company before, and it wasn't so successful. I wasn't on my own. I had the agency with two other individuals. But anyway, I really wanted to be intentional before opening up my own business again. And, I wanted to make sure that I had to be a doula to myself. I really had to give myself the right support. So all my research and training and coaching, I actually did during my last year of employment with the Assemblywoman, so that when my job actually ended, I was already like ready to launch. So that was the first reason why I knew I had to start off, with support and start off strong, I guess you want to say.
Yeah, great. So it was a plan that you built up for before you left your other job, which is obviously great forward thinking. And was it something that you sort of did quietly that people weren't aware of, that you were making this preparation and undertaking training to start a business? Or was it something that you were speaking to people about as well?
Yeah, I actually was quite vocal about it. I definitely, I discussed it with my boss, the assemblywoman, and she was very supportive. But I also was kind of giving a little tease or sneak peek on social media. And I kept talking about this is Gen 3.0 because this is really my third career. So I kept talking about, Gen 3.0 coming in 2023. And I was doing a lot of that. And I wasn't in the beginning necessarily saying what I was going to do. And then after I had received my doula training, not certification, but training, that's when I started talking about it, because now at least I knew what to talk about. So yes, I was kind of doing a little tease sneak peek so that people knew that I was making a change in my life and that I was excited about it.
Yeah.
I was being a little coy about it.
Yeah, great. And so you're about 8 months in now to your business. And so are you now do you have the sort of client load that you aim to have, or are you still building that up?
I have to say, knock on wood, my calendar is, I'm looking at my schedule. I'm almost fully booked through November right now. And I have other clients that are booked through February. So I have to say I'm very, very blessed and grateful that I do have a lot of clients. And it broke my heart. I had to turn someone away a few weeks ago, but being a doula, I did not just say, oh no, I can't help you. I made sure I put her in touch with a doula that was available. I didn't just say, I'm busy.
Yeah. And that you were unable to serve her because you were at capacity, or because she was too far away, or a different reason?
No, I'm at capacity.
Yeah.
I just don't have time in my schedule. I right now serve 2 clients a day, 4 hours each. So that's it.
And how many days a week do you do that?
5 days a week.
Yeah, wow. That's a lot of client work. So 2 clients a day for 4-hour visits each one. So you're seeing 10 clients a week.
No, it's actually more like 4, because 2 of them is 2 days a week and 2 of them is 3 days a week, that kind of thing.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, I'm just trying to get a picture for that. And how far do you travel to see your clients? I'm just curious. There's so many of us that operate in so many different ways. I'm just trying to sort of paint a picture that people can understand and get their head around. So how far do you travel to serve clients?
Yeah, I really try to not go more than 45 minutes from my home. That's kind of like the outer stretch. I prefer more like 30, 35, but I have served clients that were up to 45 minutes away. My first one was, and I wasn't going to say no to that. So that actually really was like what informed me, was like, okay, this is 45 minutes is like my limit. If someone were further away, I guess I would charge for the extra driving or tolls or things like that. But, I try to keep it between 35 and 45 minutes.
Yeah, perfect. Hi everyone, I'm just interrupting our conversation briefly to let you know that the new business program that I developed for doulas, the Savvy Doula, launched at the end of the year. And I have 12 people journeying through the early bird cohort, testing it out for me and providing really excellent feedback so far, which is super exciting. So that will be opening up to the rest of you again in a couple of months' time. And I want to tell you in the meantime about my other offering and the other way that you can work with me this year. So while the Savvy Doula is very much focused on helping you to develop your business skills, my other program, the Intuitive Doula, is more about helping you to develop your confidence, your intuition, and your interpersonal skills as a doula, all whilst cultivating a really strong community of fellow doulas who will journey alongside you. The Intuitive Doula is a 9-month mentoring container to help you foster a consistent support network and develop the confidence you need to show up in your own business in your own unique way, to move through your self-limiting beliefs and unpack the imposter syndrome that many of us feel when we're starting out. It's a 6-module framework that involves lessons focused on working on you, working with clients, working with boundaries, working with others, working with balance, and working with intuition. And the doulas who journeyed through the Intuitive Doula in 2003 said things like it was like a program and a women's circle all tied into one. And that's how it felt to me as well. So I'm really excited to be bringing that to doulas again this year. The program will be starting in March. So I'm taking expressions of interest for folks who want to be on the wait list to come into this container with me and with us. You can either express your interest by sending me an email, hello@marygiordano.com.au, or going to my website and going to the For Doulas section on the navigation bar. The Intuitive Doula is listed under there. You can also follow the link in the show notes to find it. So yeah, if this one interests you, then get yourself on the wait list and you will be the first to access a special discount when I'm ready to invite people in. And we'll get back to the conversation now. And I'd love to get a feel or a sense for what you do in your 4-hour visits, because as all doulas are different, so are postpartum doulas. And I know here in Australia, we see postpartum doulas doing a vast, diverse range of things, from preparing meals in homes to preparing meals prior to visits and delivering them to, light housework or body work for the woman or baby care. What does your role generally look like? I imagine it's different with each person and each visit, but generally speaking, what are your sort of specialities or particular interests in the way that you serve the postpartum mums?
Yeah, well, it's everything you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't show up with an agenda. When I walk in the door, I first talk to the mom and see how they're feeling, see how the baby is doing, sleeping, eating, pooping. And I ask about the other members of the family, especially if there's older siblings. And I just try to talk to them for at least, 5-ish plus minutes just to get an idea of how things are going. And then I really just ask them, like, what would you like me to do today? Or what do you need today? Do you just want to hand me the baby right now and go take a nap? Or, go take a walk? Or I really kind of I interview them when I get there. And I just find out what do they need most in that moment. But what I actually do for them most of the time is really what you said, care for the baby. Sometimes they have an older sibling at home and they just need a break from their toddler, which is one of my favorite times because my kids are older teenagers. And so for me to sit down on the ground and play games and build with blocks, I'm all into that. Color. But I also, what really I think is most appreciated, they really enjoy when I do food preparation, dinner, for their dinner. I do try to make double the amount so that they don't have to worry about the next night's dinner. And sometimes they just, obviously always laundry, dishes, bottles, all that.
Yeah, beautiful. It's great to hear that in your first year of business, you're already fully booked pretty much and feeling a lot of fulfillment from your work and, learning as you go and learning about your, even as in terms of the service area and sort of putting the boundaries in place to make sure that you're working in a way that's sustainable for you. So yeah, well done firstly for having the preparation and foresight to get your business up and running with, the preparedness to be successful from the start. I'd love to know just some quicker questions to finish up, what your favorite thing is about your work, firstly.
I definitely have to say when, to go back to my own experience, when a mom is just talking to me about just something particular that they're struggling with, and I'm able to reassure them that they're okay, what they're doing is okay, or that they need some other type of service that I can help them with. Like this one client I have now, she really had a slightly traumatic birth experience and she needed a pelvic floor specialist. So I was able, through my networking to provide that for her. Another mom really was just like, I can't handle getting up at night. I don't work nights, by the way. So I've tag teamed with another doula and now she's supporting her at night and I'm there during the day. So I guess it's really, just being able to give these mothers and fathers, don't want to leave out the fathers, they count too. That same feeling of taking away their feelings of overwhelm and anxiety and letting them know that they're doing a good job and that, whatever their choices are and whatever it is, it's the right choice. I always tell them, you're the parent. It's your choice, what you think is best. And that's the way it goes. And I think they really appreciate it.
It really echoes that sentiment that your own doula had towards you those years ago. And on the flip side, what do you find most challenging, or what do you enjoy least about this work?
The admin part, the paperwork, the keeping track of, my mileage and all those
Sitting at the
type of
desk
things.
doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't fully avoid the desk, can you, when you have your own business?
No.
And I'd love to know, I know you're in the early seasons of your business, but where do you see your business going? What's your sort of dream into the future of your business? How would you like to see it evolve?
Well, what I'm learning really now is that there's only so many hours of the day and there's only so many people I could serve.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've learned through other doulas and this wonderful person that I met online who specializes in marketing just for doulas, and is that you can reach more women and fathers if you try to provide support virtually. And that can be through, have you ever heard of an app called Voxer?
Yes. Voice messaging. Yeah.
Right. So something like that, or creating something online, like a virtual program online that I could record, that someone could maybe, and it's also, I think, a testament to some people can't afford a doula, coming to their home. And so this could be something that someone has access to this type of support, but at a lower price range.
Yeah.
So I'd like to just be able to help as many people as I can and be able to do it with not just the people that I visit their homes, but beyond that.
Yeah, it's a goal that a lot of us have to take our work online and create offerings that can reach further and enable us to grow in a way that doesn't require our one-to-one support all the time, because of course there's only so many hours that we can provide. I'm actually working on a business support program for doulas that I'm launching in the new year as well. And for the listeners, you mentioned that someone you found who helps specifically with doula marketing. Would you like to share who that is in case others would like to look this person up? Is that Doula Darcy? I've heard of someone called.
Oh, yes.
Is that who you're talking about? Because I know she's referred.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I will shout her out from everywhere because she also helped me develop my website. And she's an incredible person. She's been a doula herself for over 10 years. She runs her own doula agency, and she runs this business that helps support doulas in their marketing and developing their business and their ideas and their expansion and all this thing. She is the most incredible resource. I don't think I'd be where I am without her. For
It's great
sure.
that you found her so early in your business.
The universe definitely delivered Darcy to me. I can say that with a fact.
It's meant to be, obviously. Yeah.
Yep.
So just one final question, Jennifer. Is there anything that you'd like to offer as advice or wisdom to somebody else considering making a career change and becoming a doula? Is there anything that you would like to, put out there to give others on their way?
Yeah, I really believe that most of the time women, but even men too, happened to my husband. We are in one type of industry or in one type of job, and we think like, this is what we're supposed to do and we can't change. And as I said, this is my Gen 3.0. It's my third career, but you don't know if you're going to be successful and do well at something unless you try. And if it doesn't work out, then you'll have your plan B. But I really think it's important for people to be given the confidence to be able to make a change. And I think also for older women as myself that are over 50, I think it's important to take a look at your life where you are in that moment and say, like, is this really what I want for myself? Is this how I want to spend my 8 hours a day until eternity, whenever it is that we're able to retire, which in New York will be never. And so, yeah, I really do believe that you have to give yourself a chance and don't hold back and just do it. because you can do it. You can make a change in your life. You just have to do it.
And already the examples that you shared earlier about the way that you did that and the thinking and preparation ahead of time was also really great advice. So thank you so much for your sharing your story and where you're at and all of what you've shared today. It's been really interesting to hear. So thank you for joining me on the Whole Doula podcast.
And thank you for having me. This is my first podcast interview, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me to listen to my conversation with Jennifer Tawil today. I really enjoyed hearing how she brings her unique experience as an investigator and also working in policy to her role as a postpartum doula, and how she's been so successful in getting her business up and running and client load full in such a short time. So I hope you enjoyed listening as well. Thank you for being with me on the Whole Doula podcast. Thanks so much for listening to the Whole Doula podcast with Mary Giordano. I hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation today. If so, please hit subscribe and consider leaving a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks. Have a beautiful day.